let's talk about lying. It used to be considered a bad thing, something people felt ashamed to do, but nowadays that's changed because the dawn of the internet has ushered in a new era where we're free to be fake without guilt. No longer are we constrained by the chains of being ourselves. Now we can catfish followers with phony filtered personas, and it's not called being a fraud, it's called being a boss. Y'all, we are in a post-morals digital jungle where all is fair in clout and clickbait, where smoothing your skin so you look like an airbrushed animatron is totally acceptable, and where trolling your fans ain't gonna make them mad, it's going to impress them. And in this video, we're gonna look at some of the shadiest offenders when it comes to media manipulation, fake news, and thirsty publicity stunts. So get y'all mugs out, cause we bout to guzzle, y'all. This episode is brought to you thanks to the generous support of viewers who've joined my Patreon. If you're able to give a small monthly contribution, that goes a long way in supporting these investigations into scammers and schemers so that we can help expose them and help people avoid financial harm. Not to mention, at the top level, you get an exclusive Thirsty Stan mug. And on that note, I want to give a very special shout out to my Thirsty Stans, Nick and Randy. Your support means everything to me. I appreciate y'all so much.
Creating fake news stories, running them onto Twitter, and basically seeing how they would actually play into the real world was something that I feel proud to have somewhat pioneered. A bunch of years ago, I invented a Louboutin shoe that was made of dehydrated kale. And I got someone at Huffington Post to run it, and this site and that site to run it. Next thing you know, Louboutin is getting hundreds of calls from people being like, where can we buy the dehydrated kale shoe? And that was straight up fake news.
First, let's talk about how the media works. In an ideal world, we could trust the media to share nothing but accurate information that inspires us to live better lives. But y'all, let's be real, that ain't how the media operates. The media's goal is not to tell you the truth. Its goal is not to educate you so you can be more informed and improve the world. Its goal is not to shine a spotlight on the folks who are making worthy contributions to society. Its goal is simply to get your attention because that's what gets everybody paid. And how do you do that? Drama. Drama is what gets clicks and eyeballs. Drama is what wins advertisers' budgets. Drama is what keeps the lights on in the newsroom and what covers the reporters' paychecks. Drama is practically a synonym for marketing in Hollywood. I mean, just look at how Pamela Anderson, for example, promoted her tell-all book and Netflix documentary, with a ridiculous amount of scandalous tea being spilled in the media by the hour, it seems. And look, even though there are plenty of amazing journalists who try to make us care about what matters on this planet, the fact remains that clickbait cuts the checks and brings in the most views. And a writer for the New York Post admitted this, saying, "My loyalty is to anyone who will give me the best quote or the best story." That means that savvy publicists know exactly how to get their clients' names in the press by serving up spicy headlines that'll catch readers' eyes, regardless of whether the articles under them are true. Plus, the best PR pros know that they have a secret weapon that is sure to cloud the judgment of a lot of journalists. They can just dangle the bait of an exclusive story in front of them. As marketing expert Kevin Blatt has said, you need to give reporters what they want, something very salacious, very inside, that scoops everybody else. And he's right. The thirstiness of reporters to break exclusive news is a weakness that this savage publicist preyed upon. I mean, just watch how this dude tricks these podcasters into thinking he's serving them up some juicy inside info.
In fact, nobody actually knows this, and I'm going to tell you guys the story because this is what we do.
Why I made exclusive.
You can just hear the host immediately getting excited about scoring an exclusive, but after Kevin spills this allegedly exclusive tea on this show, cut to 2 seconds later and Kevin says,
I told this to Harvey Levin years ago, and Harvey Levin put it on the TMZ bus tours.
So not only was Kevin lying when he said,
in fact, nobody actually knows this,
but it's worse than that because Harvey Levin is not the only one who knows this story. Everybody who's been on the TMZ bus tour since years ago knows it. So this is the farthest thing from an exclusive scoop, but nobody calls Kevin out here because they're too swept up by the thrill of snagging an exclusive. Our bullshit radar gets all out of whack when we're caught up in the thrill of the drama, And that is especially true for reporters. As much as journalists go into the field with pure hearts wanting to serve the public good, views matter. Vanity metrics are hard to ignore, and every reporter has an ego that's hungry for recognition, so it's easy to see why they succumb to regurgitating the drama that's been spoon-fed to them, especially when that drama scores more views and more money than any other content they could publish. And sure, some of the finer details of a very scandalous story might actually seem unbelievable if you took the time to thoroughly investigate them, but ain't nobody got time for that. Except for me, apparently. And that's something that publicists bank on. They know that we're often in a hurry when we're consuming the news, that we're scanning a story that's sandwiched between other headlines and just trying to get a gist of what's going on in the world while we're rushing to catch a train. And they also know that there's only so much room for every news item each day. So the public ends up with dozens of tiny articles about a story over time, and each one of them only really scratches the surface. That means that if somebody wanted to connect the dots and really figure out what's going on, it's going to be a mess to try to click through every link and every article and string together the spider web of information in a way that makes sense. The average reader ain't going to care enough to research all the nuances of stories like I do when I'm creating these investigative videos. This is a reality that savvy publicists know and that they exploit. They know full well that they can sling lawsuits and lies and crazy drama around in the news, and the vast majority of folks are too busy or lazy to ever understand what's going on. They know that they can spin fake narratives and puff up BS personas in the media, and that most people will just assume the headlines are true. And even though the news should be diligently confirming the accuracy of everything they share with the public, a former editor for the New York Post admitted this doesn't always happen. She said, with so many media outlets, all desperate for content, the truth is irrelevant. Just give them something, anything, to air or to publish.
I can immediately call, somebody I knew at whatever site I knew had traffic and say, this is funny, wink, wink, I want you on the inside, don't tell anybody, and run a story about how I'm getting breast implants. It doesn't matter whether I'm ever gonna get them or not. It just becomes reality. The internet and real life are like careening towards each other to become one.
Let's look at another case study in clickbait mastery. Back in 2017, this fake news guru teamed up with a celeb who has plenty of experience manipulating the media, Paris Hilton. And together these two concocted a plan to troll the news with a totally bogus brand that was a clothing line for up-and-coming DJs. But not just any DJs, baby DJs, straight up infants. Their fake new venture was called Bottle Service, and to launch it, they both went live online and showed off one of their supposed products, a tie-dyed onesie with the slogan, "F milk, gimme bass," which seems totally legit. And of course, in no time, the bogus brand got coverage on BuzzFeed and Refinery29, and the pair racked up tons of traction on the internet. Now, not every ridiculous publicity stunt performs as well as this one, though. Some of them crash and burn on camera and then end up on Cringe compilations like the one you're about to see. Remember that slimy publicist from earlier named Kevin Blatt? Well, if you watched one of my recent videos, then you know he was the marketing machine behind Paris Hilton's famous adult video back in the 2000s. Back then, Kevin stirred up a whole bunch of drama in the news to get press coverage for Paris's tape, and every time he was interviewed for a story, he got his name in the press and established himself as the uncontested authority on celebrity sex tapes, maybe in part because nobody wants to challenge him on that seedy title.
It's going to be on my headstone now when I die, right? Celebrity over 10 million people off as because of this guy, right?
I'm at the newsstand and I see a whole thing on tape shockers. And I'm like, wow. So I open up the magazine, and as I'm reading the article, all of a sudden I see my name in here. I'd never done an interview with Globe magazine before. So that's how surreal my life's gotten, man.
Oh, I just happened to be at the newsstand and see this magazine that I clearly know I just did an interview for last week, probably because I called him up and pitched him this story, but I just stumbled upon this magazine and what do you know? There's my name listed as an expert. Kevin seriously thinks you are so dumb that you will fall for this shit, and why wouldn't he? He's made a career out of convincing some of the biggest names in news to print whatever propaganda he imagines will sell his clients merch. He seems obsessed with painting himself as this bad boss of Hollywood who knows all of the A-listers' secrets that you wish you knew. But y'all, like so much of what K-Bizzle spews out, his bad persona is a not so carefully crafted illusion, and one that totally falls apart in this Vice video where he suddenly gets a call about an explicit tape from an A-list celebrity while he's conveniently being filmed for this YouTube special.
This is KB, can I help you? Listen, when you say A-list, we're talking like Brad Pitt, we're talking... This is unbelievable. This was not scripted. All right, let me call you when I'm done with breakfast and I'm away from these people that I'm with, and I would be more... What was your name? Can you just give me a first name? I gotta call you something when I call you back. I swear to God, that was not set up. I just got another lead. That's just weird.
Yikes. I mean, y'all imagine how sad it is already that you have to pretend to be a boss and then you can't even pull that off. But look, y'all, let me not drag Kevin too much, because the sad reality is that when it comes to fooling the media, you don't need to put in a lot of effort to succeed. You don't need to be a good actor. You don't even need to get your details straight. You just need to serve up a few seconds worth of scandal to one of your buds in the news industry who is also sleazy enough to capitalize off your BS. And that brings us to our next episode. Coming up, we're going to be looking at the famous family who has used this formula for media manipulation like nobody else in history, the Kardashians. I'm going to show you how the Kardashian clan's matriarch and momager Kris Jenner spun a web of clickbait lies to help launch her daughter Kim's career, and how she couldn't have done it without the help of her cozy comrade in the gossip business, Harvey Levin of TMZ.
I think people have this preconceived notion that we don't get along.
We're old friends.
We could go on and on about this.
Coming up, we'll be flashing all the way back to 1994, which is when these two close pals first met during the most watched trial of the century, the criminal murder case against NFL legend O.J. Simpson, a case that both the Kardashians and Harvey Levin have some very questionable connections to that you are not going to want to sleep on. So if you want to see that in the next episode of the Kardashians Exposed series, then subscribe so you can slurp up all the tea I'm spilling here on Guzzle about shady moneymakers. And if you want to start at the very beginning of the Kardashians Exposed playlist, where I am exposing the cutthroat ways that this family tricked their way to the top, then you can find a link to that first episode down in the description below. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, then leave a comment with the hashtag empty mug. Seriously, those empty mug comments give me hope, because the algorithm doesn't always give it. And so I cannot thank you enough for watching this far, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.